Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all. That's all. You, when it's on that paper,
Yeah.
you'll find it's pretty early.
That's very enough.
And that is the
Site plan.
site. That's where it is. Oh, here and all. Has that got a date anywhere on it?
88. It says March, April 1988.
88. 80. Oh, that's that's one of the early ones. That's the one that.
Okay.
That just let's have a look at that.
It says new house, so it's not.
This was an early one before I had walls here and walls coming down the ground here. This is when it was suspended, but it nevertheless is one of the works. That is a detail of the support system for the roof. So that's also quite. Yeah, it goes that way up. See that there? Yep. So that's the floor. That's the rails. This is the end wall, end of it. These are the struts that go up to the roof, and they're the blinds. See, there's another one. Oh, so many.
So many.
Yeah, this was just having a house running straight through with a pond in between. See, that's part of the linear notion. Now, here's where this is one now where the pond is going like that. See that? Mm-hmm. And because the rock is doing that. There's a big rock in here. These are the contours of the rock. So what we finally did was to actually take that water out there into there, and it finally is right. I'm doing this at the design stage. This is not done after I've done the working drawings. These I do to be able to make the working drawings, whereas it is often you just do the working drawings and they do the details afterwards. I'm working it all out. Look, I'm working out all the details at a very early stage.
Well, it's integral because you've got, you can see the details. You've got added a little detail there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's there is showing the possibility of where the sprinkler could be for the water, for the water part of the fire requirement. I made it a requirement. I mean, that was the building before my client said to me, this is going too close to the rock ledge here and it's imposing on the national park, and I don't want people to be looking up and seeing a building when it's a national park. It's become World Heritage. And he said, you're too fanatical about facing north. And this was to get it facing north and a view out there, and that was the bedroom downstairs, so it was only one bedroom upstairs and living, dining, kitchen and veranda, and all facing north. And the garage was the beginning of the garage. He said, and I agreed with him. Now there is the development, by the way, of that drawing there. See that there? I did that, and then that other one, that one there, that one. See that there? That's all. So once I've done, I know what's happening here, then this comes, yeah, this then comes. And see now, I've worked out now the sprinkler system comes up between the columns through there, up into that point there, that becomes the sprinkler for the whole of the fire protection. And they've worked fantastically well. So they're really significant drawings. In terms of,
isn't it wonderful that we have
well, now this is the house turned around the other way now. So before this house was coming down this way in that other drawing. Now that's coming. So this is east northeast. So look, you can select any of these. Yeah, all of these. These are all drawings done at basically the same time. All of them, including all these little ones. And this is...
beautiful, yes.
an earlier drawing, but it's also a drawing with it off the suspended. And then I realised, look, we're in a cooler climate, I've got to put a foundation in. So a foundation went in at that point there and all the way around. So it was an important decision. And there is an earlier plan that I was thinking of the pond here, but what I finally did was make the pond go straight there and back there, and it allowed then, pushing this back, it allowed to look here past and into the view. And here is now the revised drawing showing the foundation. Oh, no, by the way, he said, if we're to save money, how would we save money? And so I said, okay, what we'll do is we'll take the big roof off on this side and all the struts, and we'll just put blinds on that portion of it. So this was a modification after I did these to see if we could get... He was an economist. He was Dean at Sydney University School of Economics, and he looked at everything from an economics point of view. And it wasn't about being cheap, it was about being economical. In other words, not wasteful. And every component must come from Australia unless we didn't have it.
Yeah.
Mm.
As you can
And-
see,
And by the way,
drawings, so it's
this-
difficult to show.
these are my clients' drawings instructing me. He was amazing, actually. Do you know, he wrote to me when I sent him all the drawings and the engineer's drawings, and the letters on file here. There's a file of letters, and those letters, he said to me, "Dear Glenn," by the way, his wife didn't sign the letter, "I asked you to design for me a lightweight looking house. I did not ask you to design me a battleship." I was furious. And you have my letter of resignation on file here,
Oh, really?
in the files. I was so wild. When I get really angry, I write what I really think. But I'm also sensible enough to hold it for a week and see how I feel after a week. So I didn't send it. I thought, well, I just better just keep calm, just see how it pans out. Anyway, about 10 days later, he rang me. "Glenn." "Yes, Gillam." "Are you angry with me?" "No, Gillam." "Then what?" I said, "I'm furious." "Oh," he said, "then we better talk." So I said, "Well, we won't talk at your place and we won't talk at my place. We'll talk at a neutral place as the engineer's place. So that's where we'll meet." So we started. And he said, "I want this floor to not be an I-beam. I want it to read as a much lighter weight looking thing. How can I do it?" And Jim said, "Well, I can get 2 pieces of steel and weld it up and just make it like an angle to suit the thickness of the slab and the insulation and everything else, because there's not an angle that size." He said, "Sounds wonderful. Why didn't you do it?" And Jim said, "Well, it's a matter of cost." Gillam said, "How much does it cost?" And Jim said, "Well, it costs extra, of course." "Why is that?" Jim said, "Well, it's the labour content, all the welding, the grinding off, then the finishing, and then all the the coating that we've got to do now differently to what we were going to do." And he said, "What's the difference?" And Jim said, as I recall, something like $3,000. He said, "Well, where's all that money?" Well, Jim said, "Probably 80% of it is in the labour." "Oh," he said, "so it's only 20% in the material." Well, Jim said it's probably even less, probably the material is less. Oh, he said, less material and more labour. Jim said, look, yeah, that'd be correct. That's what this world needs. Less material and more labour. Let's do it. And I thought, I had forgotten how socialist he was. They had to get Ted Wheeler, into economics as centre, with Gillam left to balance the two of them out. But they were great friends. And I realised from that, had I had recalled it, I would have probably thought about that. But I was using the most economic, as Jim said. He said, why can't you use the 100? And Jim said, it would deflect. Well, he said, we can't have that, can we? And that's it. Jim said, no. And he said, what's the next one up? And Jim said, well, the one that's going to work with all the other components is the 150. He said, well, is there 125? No, there's not. And he said, well, that's when he said, well, why can't we make one? And that's when we went from there. So I actually learned something out of that. And I'm glad I didn't send the letter. And he doesn't even know I wrote the letter. But I thought it should be on file.